Joining me now is a member of Canada's delegation there, Ontario's Premier, Kathleen Wynne. The Premier was just in a meeting with the Prime Minister, and we've reached her by phone. So, Premier Wynne, what role do you hope you and your province will play in these talks?
Well, thank you, Andrew. It's wonderful to be here, and I have to say that having the subnationals, the provinces, premiers here with the Prime Minister is sending a very clear message that Canada is serious about making a difference and taking our responsibility.
So I hear you say that Canada is serious, and yet when at the end of all of this, there will be an agreement, but it won't be legally binding. So how would that be any different from some of the other conferences in other cities over the past couple of decades that were aspirational?
Well, my understanding, Andrew, is that what we are calling for, what Minister McKenna is calling for, is that there be parts of the agreement that be legally binding, that there be enough flexibility in the targets, that there's an understanding that everyone needs to do everything that they can. And certainly in the instance of Canada, the federal government is going to be working with the provinces to do more than, allow us to do more than just the sum of what the provinces are already doing, because the provinces and territories are taking a leadership role, but we know that as a country we need to do more.
Now, you've said that you want, in Ontario, that Ontario wants to achieve an 80% reduction in emissions from 1990 levels by 2050. Now, that's quite a target. So as a province, as the Premier of this province, how will you try and get there?
Well, we've set targets along the way, as you know. We want to have a 37% reduction by 2030. We've already, Andrew, cut down our greenhouse gas emissions by eliminating coal-fired generation of electricity in our province. That's the single biggest reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in North America. It's a very important initiative, and we are now designing a cap-and-trade system. We're working with industry, we're working with communities to design a system that will allow us to link our carbon market with Quebec and with California. And so that's a major initiative that we're undertaking now. We're also looking at our building sector, because we know our buildings are a huge emitter of greenhouse gases, and transportation is the largest emitter of greenhouse gases now in the province, and so we're tackling that as well in terms of cleaner vehicles. But all of that combined with the discussion with the federal government, we believe that we can get there.
And Premier, what would you say to those who've expressed concern about a cap-and-trade system that you plan to implement, that you plan to tack on to California's, that could result in higher costs for lower-income Ontarians?
Well, what I would say to people who have those concerns is that the cost of doing nothing is enormous. So whether we look at the direct costs of flooding and tornadoes and forest fires and the drastic changes in weather that we're already seeing and the impact of that on people, just on their insurance rates, for example, there's a huge cost associated with that. But I would say in a larger way that I see cap and trade as an opportunity for innovation. I see it as an opportunity to create jobs. You know, being here with 150 different countries, many of which need the support of countries like Canada, provinces like Ontario, where we have the capacity to innovate, to create clean technology, that's an opportunity for us in Ontario, and I want to seize it to ensure that we are competitive now and in the future.
Would you consider, though, Premier, any kind of system that would set up that would maybe compensate lower-income Ontarians who could be hurt hard by a system like this that could end up costing families more?
Absolutely, and one of the things that we know is necessary is as those revenues from cap and trade begin, that they be reinvested, and that they be reinvested in technology, but that they also be reinvested in ways that help people to mitigate the costs of their buildings, of their lives. So we are absolutely going to be looking at ways to make those investments that will offset and will support people in reducing their own greenhouse gas emissions, but also in taking part in the new economy.
Premier, we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
That was Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne joining us by phone from Paris.